right, guys, before we start, I want to ask you, like I do in every other episode, to please subscribe. I understand that you may not watch every single podcast. I understand that you may not watch it entirely, but when you subscribe, you help us reach other viewers. So I would really, really appreciate if you guys just hit the subscribe button. Once you get an episode that you like it, comment, and let us know how we're doing. And with that said, welcome to the Monarchy podcast. Today we have Mr. Rico Garcia, and a man of many trades, and that's why I will allow you to introduce yourself.
Oh man, I was kind of hoping for the intro that way, because it sounds like boasting if it comes out of my mouth. So I a couple of things. I own a restoration company, which is EcoTek Pro. We do water, fire, mold, biohazard cleanup, things of that nature.
That's fun.
I've been doing that, tons of fun. So we've been doing that for quite some time. The way that we got into the remediation game is actually through marketing, which is kind of a weird way to kind of break into the remediation industry. And it's been a fun ride so far. So
that's cool, and I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to introduce Yuly. Well, you guys know her already, but Yuly, please, if you'd like to say some words for our viewers.
Yes, thank you for watching, and welcome, Rico.
Thank you. It's nice to be here. I'm really excited. I'm ready to dive in. Let's go.
Excellent, man. Look, I want to get started with something that you mentioned right now, which
Right.
is biohazard cleanup.
Right.
I've only handled a few of those claims as an independent adjuster for
Right.
the carrier.
Right.
So, but I don't know the perspective of a remediation company. So, how is that, man? Is it
From an insurance perspective?
no from a remediation perspective?
It's gory. I mean, it's
Right.
kind of what you would expect. It's a delicate situation, right? Because the general public, if it's not a situation that's been close to you,
Yeah.
everybody's really intrigued by it. Like, everybody wants to see what's going on, right? But when you're talking to a client, you have to be really delicate, because to them it has a lot more meaning, obviously. Because a lot of these situations are like suicides or unattended deaths and things of that
So it's
nature.
like a crime scene cleanup.
Right. So those are the types of situations that that come up. From an insurance perspective, it really is kind of the Wild West in a lot of ways, because there's some standardized pricing, but most independent adjusters, first of all, by the time they even show up, it's already done.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, nobody's really questioning a whole lot when it comes down to bio.
Correct.
Because there's not that much information out there. And you've got huge companies that are doing it, like the Aftermaths of the world. But again, I mean, it's really the Wild West. For a remediation company that isn't doing bio should probably start considering doing bio, which probably I shouldn't be saying that. So disregard everything I just said.
A little competition is always good.
But yeah, it's a good revenue stream. We don't do as much as we would like, because our marketing efforts haven't really been there.
Yeah.
We are just now really getting into the mix as far as really promoting it. So
How does somebody even begin to research that? Like, and this is a good topic, I'm assuming, because since you're in marketing as well, I wouldn't even know how a person that's gone through something like that would even say, hey, like, who cleans this up?
Right. See, it's one of those like weird topics, right? It's the most natural thing in the world.
Can you talk about a specific case without too many details? Because, I'm sure one that you remember that was like the most eerie one, where...
I mean, there's lots of cases. I mean, one that wasn't one of our cases, but is actually through a group that we're in that does Biohazard. The one that really touched home was it a kid? I think it was like a 3-year-old, 4-year-old kid that got crushed by an elevator, like inside of a home. So this is like a nice private home with a private elevator, and somehow he just opened it up, elevator came down and crushed him. And that was in our case, but those are the kind of things that you see and that you hear, and you're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
And it's for the people that are doing the actual cleanup, you really have to have a certain mindset, because you realize like how short this whole thing is, right? This whole experience, right? Because you're in someone's home and you're looking, and you can see the books that they read, and you see their library, and you see pictures of their wife, or kids, or their boyfriend, or the car keys are still hanging. Dresses that are literally like on the bed because they were going to go out Saturday night. So yeah, it's a crazy thing. Sometimes you come back home and you're like, whoa, that's kind of heavy,
And in that case, I mean, obviously it sounds like it was an accident, but if it's like an actual crime scene, what is your involvement, let's say, with like CSI or something? Like, are you able to come in and just clean up, or you have to wait for them to finish the
No,
investigation?
everything typically has to be released. Like the scene has to be released, or before.
Okay, so they have to be completely
Yeah.
done. You're not in there when they're investigating.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. We're not removing bodies.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Just
not.
bodily
just
parts
like-
and fluids.
Yeah, I mean
and mass.
sometimes you have like
Fluids.
the fluids, and maybe you have like a scalp, that just kind of slid off, and stuff like that. This is going to be a crazy podcast if this is how you start
Very
this thing.
interesting,
let's get back into the lane.
I love-
How someone would research that from a pro perspective, like if they wanted to get into it?
No, I just.
Oh, you're saying like
curious.
like a homeowner?
Yeah.
Or a person, a client, if they needed that service.
What happens a lot is they'll ask the ambulance, they'll ask the whoever's there, right? Whoever like the first responders are.
Yeah.
So that's typically how they get the information. And if not, they just end up, Googling, biohazard or blood cleanup or, stuff like that, and
It comes up.
then it comes up. Yeah.
Speaking of first responders, do you guys handle a lot of fire cleanups?
I'm not big on fires. I believe it or not, I actually push away more fire business to like other people in the industry than I like to take on. It has to be very, very specific, just because they're so tedious.
Yeah.
They're so time consuming. So.
And it's really hard, from my perspective, to really clean it up. Like if it's one of those big ones, like how much can you really clean up?
Right. I mean, again, there's a lot of money to be made in contents. There's a lot of money to be made in fire. That's not my thing. It's really. It's not to say I won't do it. It's not to say that I'm not certified to do it, and that our company we will, under the right circumstances. But I like to pick and choose. This is why I don't do third-party administrator work. Like I don't, never.
Yeah.
Like we've recently started after 5 years in business, whatever it is, 5 years in business. We just recently, and by the way, if you see me looking off to the side, it's because my lovely wife is, as always, in the shadows, making me look good. So that's how happy marriage works. But anyways, so we've never done any third-party administrator work, no program work, nothing like that. The main reason for that is I really like to pick and choose my projects. Like if it's not something that I'm going to enjoy, if it's not going to be profitable enough, then
By third-party administrator, you mean like carrier assigned
basically,
losses in a sense?
Yeah, like contractor connections.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
No, and I mean, besides that, you also are limited in some ways, I would assume, right?
A lot of ways.
Yeah?
Yeah. From what I understand.
Yeah.
See, when we first got into the business, it was really interesting because I would see. Look, I started just like a lot of people, right? Well, I started how anybody who bootstraps a business starts, right? Which is we literally bought a truck off of Facebook Marketplace for $5,000. It was a 2004 Dodge Ram. I lovingly call the truck Ramirez because it's a workhorse, and we built the entire business on the back of that truck, right? We didn't even get it wrapped in the beginning. We put a little sticker on it, and it was like really, really homegrown. And I would look around and I would see, and we're not even talking about like the Paul Davises, we're not talking about the Surf Bros, we're not talking about any of these big companies. I was looking at other competitors that were within reach, right? 5, 10, 15, 20 trucks on the road. And I was like, man, wow, this is amazing, what these guys are doing. It's gonna be great when I get there. But I didn't know anything about the business. You gotta remember, like, how I got in, right? Like, I got in from a different perspective. So I was always looking from the outside in. I was trying to figure it out as it was going, right? Which now looking back hindsight, I'm really appreciative of the fact that's how I got in, because I wasn't jaded by the industry.
Yeah.
In other words, I didn't have the bad habits of the industry.
Correct.
In other words, like how people sign contracts and all that stuff. So when I would look at them, I was like, oh man, how do you they're so busy, they got so many trucks on the road. This is amazing. Until fast forward about a year and a half, I started going to a lot more events, and I started rubbing shoulders with people and started asking questions, and like, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? Like, talk to me about your business. Like, oh yeah, we do programming. Like, oh, God, that's great. I was like, how much do you make? I'm like, oh well, we're not doing that great. I'm like, well, why not? You got like 10 trucks on the road. What's going on? It's like, well, a lot of this programming work, you're confined to, hey, this is what you have. You can't color outside the lines. Like, this is it.
And again, program work is the same thing.
Same thing.
as,
TPA. Yeah, I'm all using all of that.
Okay.
Basically to be the same stuff. But yeah, and when we started comparing apples to apples or apples to oranges, in my case, I was probably, as a very, very small organization, I was doing much better than some of what I would have considered to be my bigger competitors.
Yeah.
Reason for that is I was taking cash.
Really?
Cash pay.
So you weren't even dealing with the insurance company at all?
Nope.
Okay.
So when this whole AOB situation started to happen, what was it, July 2000?
2019.
Yeah, something like that? Right. Everybody was freaking out like the year before. They're like, oh my God, what are you going to do with this whole new AOB stuff? Like, the business that's it, it's all done. The reason for that is I realized, and I didn't know that then, and I know it now, how people in the restoration business sell is, this is how I think they train their salespeople. Hi, Miss Susie, how are you? I'm a really nice guy. I'm here to help. Sign here, no money out of pocket, okay?
We have to hire this guy for a commercial or something.
Right? And they're doing that, and that's how, because look, it's a good sales pitch, right? Like, who doesn't like to get something and no money out of pocket? Sounds great.
Yeah.
Right? Problem with that system, in my opinion, again, plenty of pros out there that are probably looking at this and they're like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. That's fine. I'm sure, in my opinion, I think that it's flawed because cash in hand is better than an insurance policy. I'm not chasing down my money. I can actually be of service to the client faster, more effective. There's a lot of benefits to that. And not to mention, obviously, the cash flow issue, right?
Correct.
So with the AOB thing, once that came around, we were like, yeah, we don't have that problem because, literally, I felt so stupid at the time. I was like, guys, I'm sorry, what's an AOB? Like, I had to ask, what's an AOB? And people were like, what?
Aren't you in the restoration business?
Right, and that was kind of the response, right? And I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh man, it just goes to show, like, I really don't know anything, right? About like the inner workings of what makes the business possible. And they were like, oh yeah, well, you have this contract and the client signs and you just bill the insurance. I'm like, oh wow, that's amazing. But then, we just continued doing cash, and then recently, and when I say recently, probably over the past 2 years, we've been doing more and more of like the insurance.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So the client just pays you, and then the client will submit that they'll handle that portion themselves.
Yeah.
Like getting reimbursed for your bill from the insurance company.
Right. So I'm a big advocate for public adjusters. Very, very big advocate for public adjusters. I think that the business on the restoration side needs to have a lot more synergy. Like, that conversation needs to be had where every single restoration project should have a conversation about how a public adjuster should probably get into the mix. For me, it was a sales tool. For me, it was this is why you should pay me, right?
Right.
These are the benefits to paying me cash. Let's use mold as an example, right? Because I love mold. Like, that's what we built our company on, is on mold remediation. Okay. Typically, any remediation that you do, everybody's going to be capping it at $10,000, right? Because why?
The policy.
Because the policy limit. Okay, cool. So you can get like this little room, couple of cuts, 10 grand. Miraculously, it's always 10 grand, or $9,998.50.
And clean the AC, right?
Right, clean the AC, the ducts, and blah, 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 that whole thing. Okay, great. Problem is that now you start getting resistance in. I would rather say, no, you know what, Miss Jones? This is what I'm going to do for you, okay? Assuming you have the financial wherewithal, I am going to give you ABC price. Well below what insurance billing would be. A couple of benefits to this, Miss Susie. Benefit number one is the insurance company is going to look at this and be like, oh, this is different. Benefit number two is it's a paid invoice. It puts a full court press on the insurance company.
Correct.
Now, benefit number three, Miss Susie, is what I want you to do is I want you to get in contact with public adjuster. Why do I recommend that you get in contact with public adjuster?
Monarchy.
Exactly. So Why do I want you to get in contact with the public adjuster? Very simple, because I don't want you fighting this battle alone. How many of these claims have you ever done? In most cases, it's their first claim. You've been paying for insurance for 30 years, 40 years. First claim. Okay. So let's go ahead and get a public adjuster involved. That way, when I'm done, you're still going to have someone who's going to be holding your hand through every single step of the process.
Correct.
And to me, that was like my way of kind of getting in and doing, getting the cash paid for this.
That's good. That's really good. And like you said, most restoration companies or mitigation companies, they use AOBs.
Right.
So the fact that, I mean, whatever change happened in the industry didn't affect you at all.
No.
But I would think that, and maybe not for you because you seem to be able to have that connection with the clients right away.
Right.
But for other people, their selling point is nothing out of pocket.
No money out of pocket, which is fine.
Yeah.
And look, to me, it's a tool.
Yeah.
It's a great tool because look, maybe you don't have the money, right? Maybe you don't have the money for this particular remediation. Okay, I'm not going to push you away because you don't have it, but shame on me if you're needing a service and I'm a provider of said service and I don't ask you for money.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't a hobby, this is a business.
Correct.
You know?
Providing a service, I gotta get paid.
I gotta get paid.
Right.
So obviously, look, let's call a spade a spade. If right now you can go ahead and sign a claim and somehow you had this magic crystal ball and you can say, hey, Miss Susie, this claim is gonna be worth $100,000, my commission is boom, go ahead and cut me that check right now. Would you do it? You take the money immediately. Why would you wait 90, 100, 120 days to do it? So now again, is that a good selling point? Sure, of course it is, and it's convenient for people who just don't have the money, I don't think that should be the first option.
Yeah.
And the problem is, it goes back to the overall mindset. People are like, well, people don't have that kind of money. And you know what? Maybe they're right, because we are very, very spoiled where we're at. We're in Florida. We're in South Florida. Like, we're in Miami. Like,
it's another world over here.
yeah, it's a whole other world. Like, you kick over a rock and you'll find like $100, But that's the kind of life that we live, right? In Palm Beach, it's the same thing. So we are in a very affluent portion of the country, right? There's other guys that I know, good friends that are in the business. They're still in Florida, but they're like in the Tampa area. And I'm like, why don't you do this? And and he shows me like the average home value. Like, they just don't have it.
Yeah.
And again, I come from a different world, right? Like, I used to talk about big numbers, and I would ask for $1 million over the phone. It wasn't a big deal. For me, a number is just a number, right?
Exactly.
But I do think that it's a mindset thing. If you don't ask,
You won't know.
you won't know. And a lot of people they sell the way that they buy. And that's where the mistake is made, right? And what I mean by that is, if I only have $100 in my pocket, that's it. That's my buying power. I automatically assume that if this costs $500, that I'm scared to ask for $500 for this because I can't afford it. So how could you afford it, right? So that's the psychology in selling, where you should just be like, hey, this is $500, $500. And if you just ask enough, you'll get it.
I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but would you say that people that work with AOBs or strictly with AOBs tend to bill a little bit more than what the job is actually worth? And not everybody. This is, the ones that are
The few good apples in the bunch.
Yeah.
The bad apples in the bunch, sorry.
I can't really speak to that. I mean, I would think that the best answer is, obviously, there's something there, but there's also a pretty good explanation as to why that is, right? The explanation for it is very simple. You're waiting 90 days for your money.
A minimum.
A minimum.
Right. I mean, like, if the stars perfectly align, you're 90 days waiting for your money. There's administrative cost to that. So yeah, I'm sure that there's some of that goes on.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of has to be baked in, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't think enough people talk about that, but transparency and invoicing, and
And maybe that's why it's easier also for you to get those customers, because you come in, they already know what the job is going to cost,
Yep.
and it's not something that's outrageous as it's typically seen in the industry.
Right.
So.
Right.
What prompted you? What was that thing that prompted you to get into the business? Like, what Because you come from a marketing background and sales, high ticket sales.
Right.
So
yeah, I was a commodities broker for a very, very long time, all in investments. Like my entire, career, I guess my first career, what do you call it when you have your first job? Like when I first entered the workplace, like that's what it was. What prompted me was the investment arena changed. I was in the investment arena for a very, very long time. And for anybody that knows anything about retail investments, right? If you're in the business long enough, you're gonna get some bumps and bruises. That's just the way that it works, right? So anyways, rules and regulations changed, went into the whole marketing aspect of things. And I had a friend of mine who was working at a mom and pop remediation shop. Didn't have a really good website. They had like built it on Wix or something like that, or Weebly, whatever. But it wasn't even designed well, right, using the platform. And he's a really good friend, known him forever. And he calls me up and he's like, hey, what's going on? You're doing this thing, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this, I can build you a website, no big deal. I'm like, what are you looking for? He's like, well, I'm doing remediation. I'm like, remediation, what's that?
That's what.
So it's so nuts, right? I'm like, remediation, what's that? And he's explaining it to me. I'm like, this makes no sense. I'm like, oh my god, this is labor. I'm like, I don't want to do this. Like, so what I did was, because he's a friend, I said, you know what, man, I'm gonna roll around with you for a week, just so I can really understand what your business model is and who your customer is, right?
Yeah.
And that was it. By the third day, I literally just looked at him. I'm like, this is what you do? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh man, we could do this so much better. And that was it. And that was the birth of.
Did you sign up with him or partner up, or you did your own thing?
No. So we partnered up. As a matter of fact, we have EcoTek is here in Florida as well as in Georgia.
Okay.
So he's in Georgia now, and I have the Florida branch, and yeah, that's what we do.
How's the insurance industry, the claims industry in Georgia?
Supposedly, I can't speak too much with regards to the remediation and water mid side in Georgia because I don't handle that portion of it. What I can tell you is, from what I hear on the roofing side, it's so much better.
Really?
Yeah, they're supposedly, and again, I'm not a roofer, I'm not in Georgia, I'm a Florida boy, like this is where I'm at. But from what I hear from my partner there, that if you have, it's not like Florida, like to get a roof paid for here, it's like pulling teeth. They're like in Georgia, a couple of pictures essentially, I'm probably overly simplifying this thing. A couple of pictures, a name storm, boom, the thing is paid and you're off to the races, right?
PAs over there? A lot?
Again, now we're talking about something that's outside of my wheelhouse. I really wouldn't know. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you mentioned roofs getting paid easily. We were discussing a claim not too long ago today, and a roof that we thought was not, there was no way they were going to pay it. It was just beat up, and it was not a good claim. And all of a sudden, in less than 2 weeks, we get a check in the mail. It's like, holy shit.
Is it one of those? It was one of those surprises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. The cut clean cases struggle.
Right.
And then the ones that are difficult, sometimes pay out quicker. So that's an interesting point there.
Yeah, it's funny how that works, right? You just never know where it's going to come from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's see what we got.
Well, Monarch, we're not in Georgia yet, but we're also licensed in
Georgia, I saw that.
And the Carolinas.
Yeah. Are you going to be
Louisiana and Texas. Yeah.
What are you going to be trying to take on claims there, or are you actively taking claims there?
In Louisiana, we are. Georgia, not yet.
Yeah.
We're licensed in Georgia.
Speaking of Louisiana, you guys going to the Win the Storm?
The Windstorm Conference?
The Win the Storm.
Oh no, that's something else.
I don't even know what that is.
No.
Can you tell us what it is?
SVG puts on an event.
Oh yeah, I think that's with Jack, right? What's his name? He's a big guy.
I don't know, DeMarco or something like that, or DeMonico, something like that. Yeah.
I know, I've seen it on LinkedIn a few times. But Jack Hanks?
No? I think he's going to be on one of the expert panels.
Okay.
Vince Perry, which was on your podcast as well. I'm not sure what episode it was. He's going to be on, I think, on an expert panel as well. But it's just a really, really cool event. If I sell tickets and SVG is watching, I want my commission.
Is this out in Louisiana?
It's in New Orleans, yeah.
I gotta look into that.
It's like coming up. We just got our tickets. I had one of the reps reach out and got the ticket. Yeah.
What is it, like a weekend long thing, or?
Yeah, I think it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday thing. I think it's end of March to beginning of April.
Okay, interesting to.
No, wait.
No,
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Wednesday, Thursday. Just go. Thank you.
You're taking the wife. Right?
She's no.
Not on this one.
No, not on this one. It's New Orleans, man. No, I'm kidding.
Doesn't happen to be during Mardi Gras, is it? 'Cause
No.
Mardi Gras around this time of the year.
Is it?
Yeah,
I
it's in
wouldn't even
March
know.
sometime.
Yeah, I wouldn't even know. But yeah, I mean, it's a really big event. They have a lot of great speakers. But really, it's for those events, you just never know. To me, it's worth whatever, right? Whatever the dollar figure, because all you need is just one idea. All you need is just one thing that you've probably heard a million times, but the one person that you needed to hear it from was there saying it, and you're like, now I get it, right? So those events kind of pay for themselves, right? And you just rub shoulders with the right people and make the right connections.
Correct. That's what I was going to say. That just whatever it costs, the fact that you're rubbing shoulders with other people in your same industry.
Yeah.
You never know the network that you're going to build. So
Right.
that's definitely.
And that's very difficult to do during these times of COVID. You don't
Yeah,
really get to rub shoulders with
Yeah, you
anybody.
don't get to rub anything at this point, right? Yeah, so we got, I got, not to sound bougie or anything, but I got a VIP ticket, but very strategically, right? Like,
Okay.
the reason why I got a VIP ticket is because, again, you're surrounded by VIP people.
Yeah.
People that paid the money to go ahead. When you buy those VIP events, like, typically what happens is everybody who's going wants to network with the power players that are there.
Correct.
You know, so yeah, I mean, if you want to go, you should go. I'll hook you up with the with my sales rep who still sold me the ticket.
Sure
See
thing.
if maybe they can work something out for you.
Sure thing. We'll get together some of the guys and girls, and
Yeah.
and it sounds like something good. Especially now that Wind was not canceled, but
Right. They do virtual.
yeah,
I think virtual is going on now in February, and then like at the end of
In
May, they're
May.
supposed to have like an in-person. I don't know
Right.
if that's gonna happen, but
Right. Yeah.
Probably not.
I don't know. I feel like it's virtual. There's certain things that virtual is great for, but I mean, for like an event like that, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been, and it's only been for networking that I've been, because quite frankly, and I'm not trying to not bougie, but I'm not trying to make myself seem more than what I am. But I didn't learn crap.
Right.
I did, rub shoulders with a lot of people. We shook a lot of hands, and we had a good time. But that's why,
yeah, it's mostly about the networking. Really.
It's about the networking, and just, again, every time I try to go to these events, I try to like empty my cup. I'm like, I just, really dumb myself down as much as I possibly can, and just, because one of the things that happens a lot as a pro is you kind of grow numb to everything that you know. And it's this weird thing that just happens psychologically, where you just kind of block yourself from learning anything new because you already think that you've heard it all. Yeah. And nothing could be further from the truth, because you can have the exact same principle, right? But with more attention, that principle takes on a different meaning, right? So that's kind of like my psychological way of kind of navigating those things. And you're right. Look, sometimes you're like, oh my God, what am I doing here, right? Like, you're like, how did this guy get on stage? But yeah, for the most part, it's always it's good to go to these events.
I agree. And let's talk a little bit about COVID and the business. Has it affected you guys in any way?
Yeah, it made it better.
Made it better, right?
Yeah, it's crazy. The business world is in two camps. COVID crushed them, COVID blessed them.
Yeah.
There's not a lot in the middle. Because it either had one effect or it had another. For us, and I think for most people in the restoration business, it was really good.
Yeah. Did you have like the first few months a little bit of a dip in some way, because nobody wanted anybody at anybody's house?
No, it was the total opposite. No.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
That's good.
It just went in the complete opposite direction.
Gotcha.
Are you guys doing like COVID, like disinfecting and cleaning and stuff?
So here's the thing, and you can see her face. She's like, I didn't like it. Because it doesn't make sense. And I can't sell something that doesn't make sense. Well, actually, I can sell something that doesn't make sense, but I choose not to, right? And again, my selling style is so different that we were getting calls a lot, and I was really apprehensive about doing any kind of promotional stuff. As a matter of fact, like, it still pops up on her Instagram every once in a while. I'm like, Shelly, please just take that off. I don't like it, because I openly talk about how much I disagree with the COVID sanitization.
Yeah.
First of all, there is no COVID sanitization. Let's start there. Okay. What am I going to do? Why are you paying me? You're gonna pay me $1,000 for what? I'm gonna come in here with my, electrostatic disinfectant. Oh my God, it's amazing. And then homeboy walks in, achoo, done. What did you pay me for?
Exactly. For
Now,
that one time, for like a few hours after the.
Right, and we can make it sound like, and the stuff that I would see, I was like, oh my God, this is the stuff in the industry that really gets me going. Or it's like, with the marketing pieces, special solutions, sodium hypochlorite. I was like, bro, it's bleach. What are you doing? Just say bleach. Why can't you say bleach? If you're gonna say that, just say bleach.
Yeah.
It's the same
Is
thing.
that really what they use?
I mean, some I'm talking like specific marketing pieces that I've seen.
Gotcha.
People use all sorts of stuff, right? I mean, again, it's just one of those things that I didn't feel comfortable selling. Now, did we sell it? Yeah, we sold it. But how I would sell it was to a business who needed to have something to protect themselves. Like,
Right.
they were doing that as an insurance policy.
Yeah.
And I would I want you to understand, the moment that I'm done, this is null and void. Like, this is not protecting you. The moment that, if this space is going to be used, it's really not doing anything.
Yeah.
And I know that there's going to be some purists out there who's like, no, Rico, how dare you say that about the business? The reality is that, there's a lot of dog and pony show with the business, with the restoration business, with the sanitization business. And I think if you just treat people, with some degree of, intellectual dignity, then you should be okay. And it worked for me. And there was a lot of deals that I didn't get because I just, I was like, no, this is, and I would tell them, I'm like, oh my God, really, it doesn't do anything? Yeah, and I would just walk away and I'm perfectly happy. I'm just happy to do that. Now, if I get a call tomorrow and someone's like, hey, I want you to go ahead and disinfect, 2,500 square feet, 10,000 square feet of space, I'm like, sure, these are the pros, these are the cons. Are you okay with that? Yeah, this is the price. You okay with that? Great, let's do it.
So many people have spent so much money on that. It's expensive from what I hear.
Yeah.
Especially have a big space.
Yeah. I mean, and again, every company's charging because it's the Wild West. Like, nobody really knew how to properly, price that out. But yeah, I mean, for me, it was just one of those things where I was like, guys, come on, like, what are we doing here?
And I think people thought it was gonna be something more short term. There was companies where they were disinfecting every day, or like Amazon was disinfecting all their vehicles, but then they ended up just buying wipes for the drivers. Because imagine, this has been going on for a year, and if they were paying a company, they thought it was gonna be just a couple months, but now it's extended, and they're like, okay, you know what, we can't afford it.
Right, and you start to see, this is the crazy stuff, right? Like the masks. The masks drive me nuts. Why is it that we need to wear N95 mask, full face mask for mold remediation, but yet a paper mask or a cloth mask for COVID is okay? Like, explain that to me. If you're painting, you have to wear a special mask, like a real mask.
Yeah.
They don't say, hey, put the surgeon's mask on. It's the nuttiest thing in the world. Right now, again, it depends on what side of the camp and what kind of, what argument or how you've been touched, right? Because if obviously you had a loved one that passed away due to COVID or a COVID complication, I should say, like, that's the way I interpret it, right? Obviously you feel differently about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
I hate the mask.
yeah,
I really do.
yeah,
But I do think that to a certain extent, it offers a level of protection for other people. At least like the heaviest particles that come out of your mouth or you're breathing,
well, yeah,
may not reach as far as they say that they do.
yeah,
but I'm with you. I mean, the mask it's not foolproof. Like, you can still get COVID even if you're wearing a mask.
I mean,
so
I would say I'm proof of that because I'm
You
a
are.
survivor.
I'm a survivor.
I'm a survivor.
I survived
I
COVID.
survived COVID.
That's actually, you need to remind me because that's going to be, that we should print that shirt. And
Okay, I want royalties for that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
But yeah, and I was traveling and I was wearing a mask the whole time.
shouldn't
So I
have traveled.
literally
Shouldn't have traveled.
I should have just stayed home for a whole year. I don't regret it, but I literally got it from a stranger and I was wearing my mask at all times, so I still got it obviously with a mask.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, who knows?
But now they're saying you got to wear 2 masks.
Yeah, and
said
CDC just said it yesterday.
So,
They're
for real?
recommending 2 masks.
I'm leaving
We should get into the mask business. No, let's get into the mask business.
Yeah.
They're gonna double their profits right now.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, no, it's just insane. So there's no rhyme or reason. Nobody has the right answer. It's just, it is what it is.
No.
But from a sanitization standpoint, again, for the COVID helped the business, I think, because a lot of people were home and they had a lot more time to really nitpick at their properties and be like, oh, is that a water stain? Oh, by the way, this baseboard is discolored. We've got, we might have mold. So that was good. From the COVID sanitization standpoint, we did do it. But again, like I said, it was like a full disclosure type of deal. We're like, hey, this is what you're getting from me, and whatever other story you're getting from somebody else, then that's great. That's their narrative. This is my personal opinion. What do you want to do? And that's it.
I'm sure your clients appreciate the honesty, man.
Oh yeah.
There's not a lot of people.
Yeah. The business owners in particular, they were like, hired. They get just like, great. Like, and they would tell me stories like, oh, this other guy just walked in. And he was like, oh my god, and this is that, and you're just telling me what it is, and so to me, being a straight shooter just helps. It facilitates the whole process.
Let's talk a little bit about marketing, man.
Because
I know this is what you were. You were the marketing guru before you. Well, you still are.
Yeah.
But
I don't know if guru. I mean, I think you're being entirely too kind. But yeah.
Tell me a little bit more, and I know you're focusing specifically on people within the industry to do marketing-related work, right?
Right. So you notice the chair. Like,
do you need
pulls up.
I thought you needed a booster.
No. The booster, that's funny. So we now, knowing what I know now, as a contractor, right? I have a different philosophy on what's important, what metrics we need to follow, where we should be spending marketing dollars, what's effective, what's not effective, and the philosophy changes a little bit, right? So back in the day when I was only exclusively doing just marketing, and it was for, come one, come all, and it was all over the place, and it was contractors, and it was dentists, and it was this, and it was that, we had this industry norm of data points that were important, right? Or how to create a funnel, or how to create an offer, or what metrics you should be looking for as far as views, or clicks, or engagement, or shares and stuff like that. And that was kind of like a cookie cutter recommendation across the board. Well, now once you take the marketing hat off and you put the contractor hat on, or the service-based business entrepreneur hat on, the dynamic changes, because you don't care if this video gets viewed, right? If this interview gets viewed 1 million times.
Oh, I do.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Let me tell you why. You only care that it's going to be viewed 1 million times if A, you're monetizing the channel, or B, it turns into money into your bank account.
No. Well,
period.
He just likes the limelight. That's what it is.
No. Let me tell you why.
Right.
Because yes, and it is a B, but there's a point between one A and
Let's see, because I'm going to go head to head with you on this.
And I don't know if you've watched any of our other podcasts, but one of the things, part of the mission is to spread awareness about insurance.
And educate
policyholders. Yes, that will turn into B eventually, because we're the ones giving the information.
Right.
But that is genuinely part of our goal, not just jumping straight to B.
Fine. Okay, so let me prove my point. Eliminate B, meaning right now that this is futile. Like we're wasting our breath here.
Yeah.
And every single episode that you're ever going to do is wasting your breath. And there was never going to be any monetization ever. You'd be like, hey, look, you know what? I'm going to inform people when I'm at Starbucks. Can we at least agree on that?
We might.
Yeah,
we might.
Right. So the point is that, and this is what's important. Like, look, I'm very outspoken about what I believe in the remediation industry, about, that there are things that are really genuinely important, and then there's things that really aren't important that other companies make, a big deal so that they can charge or feel, justified in charging whatever their fees are. So there's that, and I'm very passionate about that. I'm very passionate about telling entrepreneurs and contractors, right, hey, this is what you should know about your marketing. But at the end of the day, all of that information, at its core, is yes, to serve the public, but the more people you serve, the more that you earn, right? So there's always that thing. So the point that I was trying to make is the vanity metrics change. Like, what's actually important with your marketing is how much money am I putting in, and then how much money am I getting out.
Yeah.
Like that's it. As a business owner, that's it. Unless you're a Coca-Cola, or you're some crazy company that now is spending money on branding, which is different, right? That's a totally different scenario. But for your average business owner, right? Let's just say like guys like you and I, right? Like us in this room. Okay, we need to measure this thing. Like, what's my return on ad spend? If I spend $1, how much am I going to get back? Right. So I think I totally lost track of like what the core question was. But
Basically, that you're targeting specifically contractors.
specifically contractors, mainly because I feel that they're not informed enough. You know, as a contractor, as a service-based business, they're just not informed enough. So typically what happens with the conversations that I have with contractors or people in the service-based business, I'm like, hey, are you doing marketing? I get one or two answers. Yes or no. Okay, great. You're doing marketing. Why are you doing marketing? Right? Oh, well, because I understand it, it's important, I need to go ahead and get some recognition, and it's working really well for me. Great, done. The second group is the largest group, which are the people who say no. Okay, why are you not doing marketing? Well, I tried it once, and it didn't work out. Okay, why didn't it work out? I don't know. I just paid somebody, and it didn't work. Okay, and then did you ever try it again? He's like, yeah, I tried a second time, but it didn't work. I was like, okay, great. So for me, what was really important in identifying that was I realized that that second group was really, really missing out on a huge opportunity because talent is cheap. There's a lot of good people out there, like great people. Like restoration guys, I promise you there's a million people that are so much better at restoration than me. Like, I know it, right?
I can't say that about PAs.
Yeah, right, but you know, I'm humble, right? So I'm trying to be humble. So the bottom line is that you could be the best painter, you could be the best drywall, you could be the best roof installer. If no one knows you, it doesn't matter.
That's true.
And that is so sad. I remember going to California and walking down Promenade, was there 3rd Street Promenade, Santa Monica and stuff like that. And I would walk down and it was like, and you would see these street artists singing and dancing, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. People on the street with so much more talent than people that are making millions of dollars that are studio edited, right?
Correct.
And the same applies in business, right? And that's sad to see. Like people that I know are mom and pop shops that, okay, cool, you care about informing people, informing the public. Okay, well that's great, your heart's in the right place, and maybe you're a fantastic PA, great. And maybe you're batting 99 out of 100, fantastic, your clients love you. But the people that don't know you, if you can't get to them, it's
You're missing out.
You're missing out, right? And then what's sad is that you look across the street to your competitor, and you know that he's a scumbag.
Oh, we see that very often.
Right? And you know that,
But he's spending the money in the
but
the right places.
But he's right. He's got that exposure, right?
Yeah.
He's not. He broke out of obscurity.
Yeah.
And because of that, clients are going to him. And you're sitting there. You're like, but I'm a better PA. But I'm a better roofer. But I'm a better this. I'm a better father. I'm a better husband. I'm a better human being. I deserve that business, and you do. Now you got to figure out how to do that. So that second group of people, why do they stay out of the market? This is why they stay out of the market. Number one, they don't understand it, right? So for example, let's just, and I'm just using this as an example, let's talk about SEO, because everybody always hears about SEO, right? Search engine optimization. Do you have a website yet, sir? No? Okay, fantastic. Well, you need a website. We need to go ahead and do SEO because that's how you are going to go ahead and generate business. Great, everybody's heard that pitch. Fantastic. Okay, so we're just going to use that as an example. So now you start doing SEO. You don't understand SEO. You don't understand what it takes. You're just looking at a website. You're looking at some graphics and some words, and that's it. That's all you understand. Okay. So SEO takes time, right? It takes keyword research. It takes building out your page. It takes Google to recognize how long the website's been there, and are you authoritative, right? So now, but if you don't understand any of that, pretend that you hooked up with the best SEO guy in the planet. And the guy says, hey, look, $2,500 a month, I'm gonna take good care of you, right? Or $5,000 a month, I'm gonna take good care of you. And he's the best SEO guy. Okay, so now you pay him month one. Month one, you see maybe the front page of your website. Month two, month three, month four, month five, month six. And you're like, my phone's only rang twice. Screw that guy. I'm not doing it. He's a scam artist. No, I don't like him. No. This marketing stuff, no, this is for other people, right? So now, because you lack the understanding, the lingo, right?
And the trust, most importantly.
But no, it's not even trust. It's not even trust. Trust doesn't even enter the equation because you don't understand the process. Because if you understood the process, trust isn't even a thing. right? Like I don't need to trust you as a PA.
No, I'm saying they don't trust the process because they've
Right,
already
because they
tried
don't.
it.
Right, because they don't
So now
understand
they don't
it.
trust that.
Right, but if they understood it, right? If they understood it, now they could go ahead and have a logical conversation. So for me, what I'm advocating hard is, look, you're a business owner. You're a fantastic business owner, right? You're wearing all of these different hats: payroll, HR, this and that. Go ahead and learn marketing. Learn your marketing. Learn your Google Ads. Learn your SEO. Learn your YouTube videos. Learn, lead generation sites. Like learn how to go ahead and build. Because again, the moment that you control the leads, you don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
Because once you control the leads, you could literally be. I mean, we say Georgia. You guys are going to be in.
Correct.
If you can control the leads, you can go into any market. You're like, hey, I want to be a PA in California. Okay, great. You start from right now, going ahead and just kind of laying those, marketing bricks. And once you start getting, 4 phone calls a day, 10 phone calls a day, 15 phone calls a day, or whatever, a week or a month, great. Now you've already got the business. Now all you got to do is just plug yourself in there, and you're off to the races.
Correct.
Is
it true that no matter how good the person managing that for you is, that there's always going to be it takes time to see the result, or are you able to see results immediately?
It depends on the marketing strategy, right? So like if you're doing SEO, it's going to take time. Like I don't care how good you are. There are tactics that you can use and probably implement like right away that you can get a nice little hit.
Yeah.
There's plenty of that, right? Like something even as simple as just changing your company name, rebranding your company name, and being in Google My Business, being in the map pack, right?
Yeah.
That's easy. Just something as simple as that could be the difference between not getting any phone calls in your business and getting 10 phone calls in your business. Something literally as easy as that.
We're just getting into that space now because we're very like quantity over quality, and
other way.
Quality. Okay, you're gonna have to edit.
Edit that part out.
We are quality over quantity, and of course we want all those leads. But we don't want to be in the business of where we're always retaining new leads because we suck, because we're so overwhelmed, and our business, we've established it on referrals, on people that referred family and friends, and just now we're getting into that space and we've grown exponentially, without leads. So we don't want to get into, maybe we're going into a new market, yes, because we want that community to know us and refer us to the family and friends, but we don't want to get into the space where we're continuously having to attract new leads because that's all we want to do and not take care of like our people. So.
Yeah, I mean, again, every business is at a different season, right? And if you're legitimately in a place where you've grown through word of mouth and you can, if you can forecast your business right now and to be like, I know exactly within within 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 or $10,000 what my revenue is going to be 6 months from now without touching leads and without doing anything else, then you guys are in a good place, right? Most business owners are not.
I mean, we're getting into that now, into that space, of advertising and things like that to get into the markets that we haven't gotten into yet. Right.
And again, it's just one of those things, right? It's like, can you grow your business? Having growing pains is a good thing, right? And some people don't want it. Like I know electricians that they have a truck and they're tickled pink. Like it's just them and they're happy. They take their 3-4 vacations a year and it's a lifestyle business, right? But it's not something that you're going to leave behind. It's not a legacy that you're building. And look, some people don't want that. In which case, it's fine.
Yeah.
But if you want to capture as much of the market as you possibly can, then you got to pay to play. And I really think that you need to understand it. And I think that every single business owner needs to take a step back and be like, okay, I learned how to be a really good PA, or I learned how to be a really good roofer. I need to learn how to make my phone ring, because I guarantee there's so many people that are watching, right? And everybody can relate to this. I mean, it's happened to me. It's happened to everybody. It's like, oh my God, I'm really good at what I do. I've got this product. I've got this service, but my phone's not ringing. That's a sad feeling, So to be able to do that, for me, Google Ads is a good barrier to entry, because as far as seeing results quickly, if you want instant gratification, Google Ads, but you're paying to play. Right? SEO is your baseline, long-term foundation, right? Like you can get to a point eventually where no one's even going to touch you, but you have to put in the time, the energy, and the manpower to finally get your website to where you're ranking for all of these different terms in all of these different areas, and just have that kind of clout. And whereas with Google Ads, you can just do that immediately.
What are you doing, or you're doing something to help contractors in our industry become more informed and educated on this.
Right. So I mean, we still have Alpha Media. It's never closed it down. I mean, it's obviously. I mean, I don't know how much you know about how marketing agencies work, but it's all on retainers, right? So I mean, we've constantly had that revenue source,
Okay.
which is great. And I didn't want to shoot that for no reason. Like it's making money, what we did though was we went from come one, come all to only industry professionals. Like that's it. And when I say industry professionals, I mean like contractors and entrepreneurs meaning within the contracting service-based business space, right? And those are the clients that we have now. They're few, they're far between, they're very, very boutique. A lot of them are symbiotic relationships. In other words, you're a roofer and you have X amount of things, you need some more marketing, and then we kind of like exchange skills. For us, that's been a really, really good model. And then of course, people that are in other arenas within the contracting space that understand the business and they pay us a retainer or whatever. But over time, what's happened is having so many conversations with contractors and this and that, and it's always the same thing. And I finally just said one day, I was like, you know what do you think if I put together a course for you guys, just so you guys can kind of like understand it, like what's kind of, and I've kind of been doing that for like the past, I don't know, like 8 months, 9 months, something like that. Just randomly, not randomly, hey, what do you think about, if I did this, would you participate? So I finally got enough of these people to be like, yeah, it's awesome. Like, yeah, I definitely would want to do that. Like, you're absolutely right. I wasn't doing marketing because I don't understand it. You're right. I should understand it so that I can do it, or at the very least hire my niece, my nephew, my grandson, my assistant, or, someone overseas to then delegate that, right? So what I'm doing is hopefully by June of this year, and we should have our first beta group of students, where basically it's going to be like group coaching in the beginning. And the beta group is essentially going to be, live weekly calls, presentations, A to Z, showing you exactly how to set up. And what we're going to be doing is targeting Google Ads first.
So the course is the course so that business owners could do the marketing on their own, the SEO on their own?
Yeah, they Google Ads. So I'm going to start off with Google Ads because Google Ads is the quickest barrier to entry, right? Because if you can spend $2,500 a month or $1,000 a month or $500 a month on SEO, in my opinion, right, and depending on your industry, depending on where you're at in business, realistically, like if you're Joe the plumber and you need plumbing leads, you shouldn't be spending $1,000 a month on SEO. You should get your Google My Business, but really what you should do is just run a Google ad and like broken pipe or like emergency toilet declog. Like, I don't know. I'm not a plumber, right? So, but whatever it is, right? Whatever that keyword is, you want to be bidding on that so that you can get your phone ringing, so you can get some revenue, so you can go ahead and spend more money on ads, so you can get more revenue, so then you can go ahead and finally have enough of that craziness going on so we'd be like, oh, okay, great. Now I've got this. Now let's go ahead and build our foundation with SEO.
Gotcha.
Because that's the long term. Right, that's like kind of like your. So yes, it's going to be a course to educate them on how to do it step by step. I want to demystify this whole marketing thing, right? Because everybody kind of holds it so close to the chest. It's like, oh no, marketing, it's complicated. Do you understand marketing? No, it's very it's complicated. You've got the GMTs and the UTMs, and you got your pixel, and you have this and you have that, and when you need your HTML code on your dude, stop. It's easy. It's easy. What you need somebody to do is to not be an a-hole and just be like, hey, let me help you out. This is you as a business owner, right? And this is coming from a business owner. So this isn't like some pie in the sky scenario of, maybe this works, maybe it doesn't work. Like, no, this is what's worked for me, right? And, kind of really giving that to people. And so the beta group is going to be with me live for however long it takes, which I think is probably going to be like around 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and that's going to be like very, very tight and intimate. So that way, let's say we meet on Tuesday, and then we meet again on Thursday. Whatever we discussed on Tuesday, you had an opportunity to implement, and then we can go ahead and have Q&A and see your progress. So that way I can be like over your shoulder and be like, oh no, this didn't work, or or you might say, Rico, oh my God, this worked. I just, something as simple like I just showed someone how to set up a Google Ads account.
Yeah.
It's not complicated, it's simple, but he had questions, right? When he was doing it by himself, he started doing like the suggested, like the SMART campaign, which were like, no, don't do that. And I just showed him how to set up an account. He's like, oh my God, I just set up my account. This is amazing. And it's like, just, to me, like that's really good, you know?
I'd like to give you my perspective on that.
Sure.
And while I'd be very interested in having like maybe a 2-3 hour course to understand it better, I can't imagine a world where I would have enough time to do that.
Cool.
To do the marketing?
Yeah, to do the Google ads myself.
Right.
And again, this is an opinion out of ignorance because I don't know anything about
No,
that.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. I believe that there's going to be a huge portion, but my sales pitch isn't that. I don't want you to do your Google ads. I want you to be informed enough
Gotcha.
to where you can delegate and understand it. And I want you to be informed enough to where if all of a sudden you're at home, look, man, we're business people. We have ideas all the time. Tell me how many ideas you haven't had in the shower, probably. You're like, oh my God, this is a great idea.
Podcast, right? Or you do it too.
Well, no, I don't know. Yeah,
That's my spot, man.
It's in the shower. It's like, oh my God, this is such a great idea.
It's like the only time that you don't have like your phone, or you're not talking to someone.
Yeah, you're
unless
alone.
you take your phone in there, but but yeah.
You know, but that's like the only time. Like you have these random ideas. So for you to be able to execute on that inspiration as an entrepreneur, there's no one is going to understand your business better than you.
I was going to mention something that that you mentioned earlier that was very interesting, and I think it's very true. And it's hard to find, is that marketing person understands the business, or that the person who knows the business knows the marketing. So, and I think that's
exactly.
I think that's something interesting that.
Right. And you got to remember your marketing guy. And look, it's fine. I have an agency. I understand how this works, right? But you also have to understand that your marketing guy is you're paying them, but they also have 30 other clients that are also paying them.
So they're not going to know all 30 businesses
They're not
ins and
gonna-
outs and.
Right, they're not going to know all the businesses, but then the other aspect of that is that how much time are you really getting on your marketing, right?
Correct.
Because depending on the size of the agency, you don't really know. Maybe you're getting an hour a week, whereas my argument is, you're right, you probably shouldn't be in Google Ads or in your business manager account or your YouTube's ads account or anything like that, right? Day in and day out, granted. But to be able to immediately move on that
inspiration
is fantastic. Or even better, what is this guy up to? You open up your laptop, like, okay, my ROAS are off. I wonder why. Why isn't this, conversion? Why isn't my GMT, firing? Like why is this broken? Like, what's going on? How can I make this better?
Yeah, I can see the value in that. Definitely.
I mean, you count your money, right? I mean, do you guys have like sales meetings every once in a while, like in your business, and right? Do you try to forecast like what's going on? Why would you not forecast your marketing?
Yeah.
Like, so it's a big chunk of trust that you're giving to somebody. So my position is, I would like to, from a contractor, not only from a marketing guy, but as a contractor, like to be like, hey, wait, let's get rid of all of the bells and whistles, right? Let's get rid of all of that stuff, the shiny stuff that really doesn't matter for us right now. Let's use this as a tool to make money. This is how you do it. And then whether or not you fall in love with it and you decide to do it yourself, or you fall in love with it, you not only do it for yourself, but maybe you can start even developing symbiotic relationships, right, with other pros, because now you've got the skill set. You own the skill set now.
Yeah.
No one can take that away from you. Now you've got, all of a sudden you have this additional lead source, right, because you're helping them in, get more roofing leads or whatever the case may be, right?
Which is, in essence, what you did.
So we've created some of those relationships, strategic relationships, and that's, I mean, it's a no-brainer,
Yeah.
right? So someone who doesn't want to learn, but like, so we have a relationship, a couple of relationships like that with mold assessors.
Okay.
Again, we get their phone ringing, and ethically, they, if they're asked, they're like, hey, here's a list of 3 companies, and obviously I'm one of those companies.
Yeah.
Why? Well, because he likes me. Why? Because I make his phone ring.
Because you do a good job too.
Because that, and I think I'm a likable guy.
You're funny. That's it's been entertaining, nonetheless. I want to ask you some questions about PAs, and I know you touched base a little bit, but I want to go a little deeper into that. Specifically, do you see the value in well, not so much in VAs, but in having policies as a homeowner, having your policy reviewed by a claims expert.
Absolutely.
Why is that? From your perspective.
Because you don't know what you don't know.
And I'm sure you've come across clients that don't have mold coverage or
Oh,
have
yeah.
a very limited, mold coverage.
And I think we're seeing more and more of that every single day. $10,000 water caps, and it's becoming more of an issue. And just people don't know, like the right to repair, programs and stuff like that, and you just don't know. Most homeowners have their insurance policy because it's required for them to have an insurance policy. End story. Like I said, you have a mortgage, you need to have insurance, right? The sales agent, 9 times out of 10, is just looking to sell a policy. They don't even understand it.
And the homeowner's just looking at the premium, like, what am I going to pay?
Right, that's it. They're so focused on the bottom line, this is why like life insurance salesmen have such a hard time, right? Like everybody knows that, we're eventually gonna end, right? But like nobody wants to be insured against it. It's crazy thought, like when you think about it, right? Same thing with homeowners insurance. It's like, I'm never gonna use it until you need it, and then you realize you're like, oh.
And then we have to be the bearer of bad news and be like, oh, you're not covered.
Right, you're not covered.
Can
sorry.
we get you $10,000?
Right. Or someone that's been paying into a policy for the past 10 years, and they finally, and what's sad, and I get exposure to that, right? Because I a lot of times we get the first phone call, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna speak to my agent. She was so friendly, and they're gonna come out. Yeah, she said she was gonna help me. Yeah. And you can see, it's like looking at a little kid, because they're like, they believe it. Because they're like, oh, I'm insured. I've been doing the right thing. I'm a model citizen. I've been paying my little insurance premium. Of course they're going to take care of me. And then, of course, they don't.
Exactly. It's very important to note that having insurance does not mean having the right insurance. Not all insurance companies are the same. Not all coverages are the same. Just because you have homeowners insurance does not mean that you're covered for everything and anything.
Talk to me about Amica.
Amica?
Yeah, the insurance company. Amica?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
is that a new one?
heard.
Amazing. Amazing.
Amica sounds like Amiga, and do not trust it. It's not your Amiga.
Amica, yeah. I've had a couple of them, and the weirdest scenario. I would love to know when you post this, like in the comments below, because I'm going to be tracking this to see how many claims are out there on Amica. When I tell you that it's eerie, where we call in the claim, what I think insurance should be.
I'm going to look them up right now.
Yeah. You call.
Can you pull them up?
Yeah. You call them up, and I've only had 2 claims with them. And you call them up, you speak to the field adjuster, and I'm like, hey, I'm here with our mutual client, fulanita de tal. So this is a situation, blah, 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 blah. They're like, yeah, go ahead and do whatever you have to do. I'm like, do you understand what you're just saying to me? They're like, yeah, do whatever you have to do. I'm like, but you haven't seen anything. You're like, nothing. They're like, okay, look, if we have to, just as long as you're fair, we're fair. I'm talking like instantaneously. I mean, I haven't had anything sit with them for more than 30 days.
Really?
Oh, they do car insurance too.
Yeah, I don't think they're insuring now anymore here in Florida. I think didn't we call to try to get
I think so.
insurance with them because of just that experience, like twice. And when we called, they're not insuring anymore.
Man, that would be a beautiful thing. I hope we get them.
It was amazing. Like not once. Like once it's a fluke, but it happened twice. And I was just wondering if you had any experience on that.
Well, if there's any viewers that have an Amica policy, we'd love to review it.
Yeah, I mean, so that's. I was just wondering if you had any.
No,
No.
Because everybody's always talking about like how bad insurance is, and you rarely ever hear about like any of the good stories with insurance. And again, it doesn't make me an expert by any means. I'm only talking about 2 possibly isolated cases that I've experienced. Whenever I've had anything with that, when I hear that, I'm like, yes. I'm like, you should be good.
If there are any other adjusters, like Rico said, or any other restoration
Yeah, I'm
experts,
really interested. Yeah.
please write them in the comments and let us know how they work.
Yeah.
We're interested, and now I hope the universe puts together a set of claims for us so we can
Sure.
adjust
Yeah.
them.
Well, now you know what's going to happen is now miraculously you're going to get Amica claims.
Yeah, we're putting it out there, It's,
It works, man.
Speaking
I'm
into
telling
existence.
you. Yeah. I'm into all that whole like manifestation stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I've been getting like off the deep end with that.
Really?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. So I mean,
Edgar loves these kind of
yeah. So
conversations.
Shelly laughs at me because I'm a little kooky sometimes.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, I guess so. But I actually got a box sent to me from Amazon, right? Because it's like Christmas every day. I love Amazon, right? So it's a little chest, right? And it's a manifestation box, right? And my boy, he can't touch it, right? He's 4 years old. And he's like, I tell him, he's asking me like, what that is. I'm like, oh, it's the magic box. He goes, what does it do? I'm like, it makes things appear. He goes, what do you mean, Daddy? I'm like, well, it's a manifestation box. Of course, he's 4, so it's a little bit too far for him. I'm like, well, what Daddy does is Daddy puts stuff in the box. Daddy puts ideas in the box, and then the box makes them real. And he's like, whoa. And that's kind of like what that manifestation box is. And so yeah, I do a lot of practices. Spending time with yourself is really important.
Yeah.
You know, like getting to know yourself, getting comfortable with yourself is really important. Meditation, I think, is severely overlooked in the entrepreneurial space, unless you're a very high performer. The higher you go up in circles, the more that you realize that people are actually spending the time and to taking care of themselves, to understand themselves, right? Meditation is super important. Journaling, writing, super important. I'm very eclectic, so sometimes I write down the same thing like in 3 different spots. So like, because I have this war between digital and old school stuff.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way.
Oh my God,
I write everything down.
It's the worst, right? Because for me, I like the convenience of pulling up my phone and having all of my thoughts over with me. But at the same time, I also like my pen and paper and have that and just see it on the shelf and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, just writing down, if you can visualize it, if you could write it down, there's a good possibility for you to achieve that, right? And then just really being honest about what you want and what you don't want, right? We're so concentrated on always saying, oh, I don't want this, but really what you're saying is you want the opposite, right? So being cautious of how you're thinking and catching yourself is really important.
I agree.
I often hear people like yourself saying, making time for meditation, writing things down, but I personally find myself so busy all the time that
it's an illusion.
I haven't, and if I dedicate more time to meditation per se, then other things go undone.
That's not
and accumulate.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No.
Or maybe I'm.
You're trying to control it. That's the problem.
Well, I'm just gonna share like my personal experience is I meditate 10 minutes in the morning when I wake up, and then 10 minutes before bedtime. And usually that time I would have spent it scrolling on my phone.
Yep.
Either social media, emails, whatever, doing something else. So I just kind of made it a habit where it's like, last thing I do before I go to sleep, first thing I do when I wake up.
Yeah, I think that for most people, it's not a lack of time, it's a lack of importance, it's a lack of attention. Because if it was, can you take 30 minutes every day if I gave you a brand new lead to go to?
A brand new
lead to sign, a brand new lead.
I wouldn't, but I would assign it to somebody.
You'd find a way to get it done.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can find 30 minutes or 20 minutes or 15 minutes, to just be alone with your thoughts. And it's such a good, because you're constantly going. When you take a step back and you can forget about, what is this podcast about anyways? We've talked about everything, right?
I told you we were going to go on tangents.
But when you can forget about yourself, when you forget about who you are, where you are, at what time you are, and you are nothing, and that's a hard thing to do. It's hard to get there, and I don't claim to get there all the time. It's few and far between, and when you get there, it's like bliss, and then you're zoned out for sometimes 40 minutes. But when it happens, it's amazing, and then when you come out of it, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, the world is still here. And it just allows you to think through, I think, a lot better.
I gotta try it out. I feel
try. So, are you hyperactive? Like your mind is constantly going.
1,000%.
Okay, so
I sleep very well, but when I'm awake, I'm like.
So what you might want to try to do, and again, this is just my 2 cents. Go ahead and because I'm that way. If you can't tell, I'm constantly right. And this is me trying to contain. Really, we should have done this standing up. I would have been so much happier. But try to just sit still for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and that's it. You can think about anything, do whatever you want, just literally just whatever, and really think about how you're going to get comfortable and get comfortable. So if this is it, commit to 10 minutes.
And I have to sit, or can I lay down? Because I can lay down and it might, take a nap after.
Yeah, well, right. If you can, but do it consciously to where you're awake, right?
Don't lay down to go to sleep. But you could do it lay down.
Right.
Yes.
But it's a good practice just to control your body. It starts with the body, right? Because now what you're doing is you're telling your brain. You got to remember, like, good book recommendation. He talks a lot about this kind of stuff. Is Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Becoming Supernatural.
Becoming Supernatural, right? Yeah. Becoming Supernatural is a fantastic book, and he really gets into the science, like data, real data, which is great for me because I like data to justify my stuff that I feel is true.
Yeah.
Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about like mechanics of what happens, like on a chemical level, right? So just every time that your body is basically your mind every single day, right? Because you kind of roll out of bed in the same way. You go either get your water, you go to the bathroom, you make your coffee, you do this, or the first thing, which is even crazier, right? Before you even get out of bed, before you even say hello, honey, good morning, you pick up your phone. Like your body does that.
Yeah.
Like have you ever like picked up your phone and be like, why am I doing this right now?
Yep.
Is that happening here?
Yeah.
I have it.
Really?
I have 1,000 emails to respond to, so I'm like, this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah, right. So, but you catch yourself, and that's your body being the mind. Now, when you can go ahead and be like, no, hold on, let me control this, and all of a sudden your mind is the one that's trying to tell your body, no, wait, hold on, no, you're not. It's almost like training a dog in some weird way. It's because your body just wants to go like, I gotta get coffee, I gotta do this, I gotta get this estimate. And then, but if you can control it for 10 to 15 minutes, and what will happen is once you start doing that, what you'll notice is your like leg will kick out, or you'll get a twitch, or you'll have, all of a sudden, you haven't itched all day, your nose itches, right? Or like something happens, that's your body's like, so that would be like the first way to kind of get into it and just start controlling the body. Then once you start controlling the body, then you can go into some of the more, meditative stuff and to try to clear your mind.
And obviously, let's hear.
Yeah,
I don't know why I heard that.
Oh, because he plugged in the phone.
Oh, my bad.
So, and I'm assuming that if you practice it enough, you get to the point where throughout the 5-10 minutes, you can sit still without even twitching.
Yeah, you can sit through it. I mean, again, it's just mastering like anything else, any other skill.
I'm gonna try it out.
And there's always something new on the horizon. Like you never fully get there. It's just for me, it's a good practice, and I do it every day except for the days that I don't. So I try to get it in as much as I possibly can. It just it's nice when if you can do it in the morning, you feel so much better. Like lately, I've been on this kick of jumping in the pool first thing in the morning.
Is it heated?
No.
No.
Yeah.
More so on cold days.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How's that like? You just.
Yeah. I mean, well, because. And again, this is like the stuff that I used to see people do. I'm like, what is wrong with these idiots? Like, why? Explain to me why. There's so much. Again, it's like you just see a guy, you see some crazy guy jumping in the pool, but then you keep looking at crazy guy jumping in the pool, and then you one day end up trying to jump in the pool, and you're like, oh, wait, this is what's happening. There's some mechanic that's going on here. I don't want to get in the pool. My body's saying, no, do not get in the pool. But then to go ahead and push yourself to get in that cold water and then to stay in the cold water, first of all, it really wakes you up.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and you are revitalized. I mean, you feel amazing. It's kind of hard to be in a bad mood.
Yeah. I'm going to start with the sitting down part.
Yeah.
And then the pool.
And then you'll jump in the pool.
Yeah, we'll consider that later because that's...
cold plunges are fantastic. The cold showers in the morning. I don't like the cold showers. I feel like I just get in the pool. And
Gotcha.
it kind of helps me get my day going.
Interesting. How do you meditate?
How?
Yeah.
In bed.
But,
I meditate laying down. I mean,
what do you do? I've never even
Well, you
looked
can
into
start with
meditation.
if you want, you can do like guided meditations.
Yeah.
It kind of helps you because if you're just sitting there like with your blank mind, a lot more thoughts are gonna come to you. But if you're listening to like a guided meditation or like a sound or something, it's gonna help you like calm down because you're concentrating on that instead of like.
Send me the app.
Yeah, and thoughts are still gonna come to you, and it's okay if thoughts come to you.
Calm, right? Isn't there an app?
There's Calm. There's Headspace.
Headspace, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Headspace. There's a bunch of really cool apps, and YouTube. I mean, just a bunch like binaural, binaural beats and stuff like that. I mean, those are pretty cool to listen to
Bowls.
as well.
Meditating bowl.
Yeah.
The sounds.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what kind of bowl?
No.
All right, let's get back to PA
Alright,
before we
that's
close
another.
out.
That's another. We'll bring a yogi on for for an episode.
Yeah, probably.
Rico, before we close out,
Yeah.
would you recommend the listeners out there, the policyholders, to hire a PA? And if so, why?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, first of all, it should be with an honest PA, and the PA should only sign the claim if he's going to add value. Let's start there. So assuming that the policy holder can find a good PA who's honest enough to be like, hey, look, you're okay right now?
Like you mean if they're able to find Monarch?
Basically, right. Yeah, essentially, yeah.
That was a dirty plug.
That was a great one. It's like,
Just
so
clarify.
basically what you're saying is, right, so, but assuming that that's the case,
Yeah.
then yeah, I mean, I don't think that the homeowner, the policyholder is going to get the same thing that a PA is going to get. I've never seen it. I've never seen it. I've never seen it, right? So, okay. You know, I mean, then why? Why? And people get so caught up on the money. It's like crazy, right? I don't know what you guys charge. It's none of my business. But let's just say industry standard 15 to 20%. Okay, cool. 20% of money you never had.
Correct.
How do you go wrong? And as a general rule of thumb, and again, you guys probably have much better metrics. My understanding is 20 to 50% on average, right? Policy increase or payment increase.
A lot more. Yeah.
Right, it could be more, right? But let's just say,
Yeah.
okay, beyond your fee. I'm talking about beyond your fee, right? How do you go wrong? Why is this even a discussion?
Yeah.
Like for me, it's like, wait, hold on, you want to charge me what? 20%? I'm like, no, buddy, here, take 25% and just, I don't want to call the insurance company. Like,
Exactly.
you handle it. You chase them down. You know?
Yeah, just by the weight that we're taking off your
Absolutely.
shoulders and handling this very sensitive process for you.
Right.
I think we should get paid more, to be honest. I mean, I don't.
Well, I mean, okay.
Listen, when we tell you, and there's a lot of people.
He's
out
like,
there
I
that
want to
too.
charge 90%.
No, I wouldn't say 90, but we bring a lot of value, and then you have the guys that aren't bringing as much value charging the same.
What do
So-
you mean, like other PAs you mean?
Yeah, like other PAs, we're capped at 20%, right? So PAs for
Okay,
for
is that everywhere?
Or loss consultants or
yeah,
Is that
who
everywhere?
are unlicensed but still charging. Huh?
here in Florida.
So, okay, talk to me about this whole loss consultant
Loss
thing.
consultants.
Yeah.
I think that's a whole nother podcast. But they're just unlicensed public adjusters who work with like maybe law firms or things like that and
Oh.
act as an expert.
Act as an expert.
Yeah, we've seen them charge for anywhere from 25, 30%, 30%.
So they can charge, because they're not licensed, they can charge whatever they want?
The attorney charges on their behalf. The
Got
attorney
it.
pays
Yeah.
them, so
Got it. So basically, the loss consultant is doing all of the legwork, basically under the attorney's flag, basically?
Right.
correct.
Right. And the attorney's not capped. So
Right.
the association, the loss
Now,
consultant's not capped.
how do you guys feel about what's happening with the insurance side trying to kind of get rid of attorney fees and all that stuff?
We've seen it in the last couple of years. It's been brought up to legislation too, and it hasn't passed.
Right.
So
Well, but this
we'll
year
see. We'll
they're-
see
it's
this
up
year.
again.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
up again this year.
I think that's going to affect us greatly. I mean, that's like only once the claims get denied, we have no other route than to go to an attorney.
Right.
And if the client has to pay the attorney out of pocket, they're going to be discouraged to proceed
And
with
not
that
only
claim.
when it's denied, when it's underpaid,
Or underpaid.
when they exceed their 90-day, deadline and they don't
Right.
respond, then the client has a right to sue them, for
Right.
for-
I think the good news is it'll take out a lot of the guys that no longer have an incentive. In other words, the people that are constantly picking like the low-hanging fruit,
Yeah.
it'll get rid of that. And then the industry, if there is still an industry, it'll become a little bit more refined,
Which is
right?
kind of what happened with the restoration industry, or with
Yeah.
what's happening
With what?
Yeah.
With the AOBs and
with
stuff?
AOBs and I've seen.
There's a lot of guys that have gone under.
Yeah.
A lot of guys that have gone under.
I think in the long run, it wouldn't be great for us because the insurance company would have all the power.
Right.
Well, but I think if that happens, and then a lot of attorneys are also going to lose a lot of business, I think those same attorneys will work on something or figure something out to put that pressure back on the insurance company where less claims are having to go to litigation.
Possibly.
One can
You know what I
only
mean?
Right.
I think that might turn the table and be like, okay, well, they can go to litigation. Now you got to do what you got to do.
Right.
You got to not underpay these claims or make a coverage determination or, whatever. There's always a way.
Right.
We always find a way.
Right. So I have to ask.
Go ahead.
No out-of-pocket expense. Let's talk about that.
No out-of-pocket expense as in
Explain the deductible to me.
the deductible.
Explain the deductible to me. I probably shouldn't be doing this on the show,
I mean,
No,
but I want to know. I have my own opinion on the deductible.
But what do you mean the deductible? Like,
The deductible, what the client is responsible for. Everybody says no out-of-pocket expense.
well, not PAs. Like we don't. That's not something that we promote. No.
Well, I'm not saying to you, but just
Okay.
in general. Like, why does everybody in the business say no out-of-pocket expense?
Because it's not coming out of the client's pocket, but it's coming out of their policy. So
Okay, so
in essence, it's coming out.
Let's kind of dissect this for a second, right? So, when a PA or an insurance company, let's even take the PAs out of the equation, right? When an insurance company pays out, let's use simple numbers, $10,000, right? It's because they're paying out, and they've agreed with the contractor, and they've agreed with their, resources and all that stuff. Hey, in order for you to make these repairs the way you're supposed to make these repairs, it's $10,000. Okay, cool. Right? So that's why they're sending out that check. It's $10,000. Okay. Because it's argued that if they were to give you $9,000, you couldn't do those repairs. That's the argument. Right? Okay, cool. So $10,000. Now they deduct the $2,500 deductible or the $1,000 deductible. In theory, the client needs to make that difference up in order to go ahead and fully pay for the repairs, right? So why is it that everybody consistently is talking about no money out of pocket?
I think it's because they probably push more than what, in theory, the client would need for the repairs.
Do you think that that's a little deceiving in part?
I mean, the insured knows that they have a responsibility for a deductible, and when it's $2,500 or $1,000, they may be able to, make it up easier.
Right.
If they do the repair some other way. But
Right.
now, when you're talking about a hurricane deductible, where you have $10,000,
Right.
the insured, if they didn't know then, they're gonna know now when they sign the claim, and they have to understand that they have to take that responsibility.
Yeah,
So.
one thing that
So
see
we
a
would
lot-
never we would never tell anybody no out-of-pocket expense.
Right.
The client, whether they were aware of their deductible or not, it is what it is. And
Right.
if they have a high deductible, then that's something that they have to take responsibility for if they need to come out of pocket to do the
What
repairs.
we've noticed a lot, and literally there's trucks in the restoration business that say no out-of-pocket expense, no out-of-pocket expense, no out-of-pocket expense.
But we've seen it more from the restoration guys than
No out-of-pocket
than our
expense.
side.
No out-of-pocket expense. And it's, in my opinion, like that's not truthful. Like it's not. I mean, it is in the sense of, okay, with the water mitt side, right? I mean, they're, whatever, they'll pay up to $3,000 and then the $10,000 for that. But like everything else, like.
I mean, typically the deductible gets applied to the dwelling portion,
Right.
so it doesn't come out, of the restoration company's
Right.
money. So I guess in that sense, it's not out of pocket because they're collecting from a different coverage. Although
Right.
I have seen where they've applied the deductible to the restoration company. But that's not something that we promote. I'm
Right.
not,
No, I'm just asking,
yeah.
like, what your opinion is on how people are presenting it in the business. Like, do you think that that's, do you think it's perfectly normal, that it's okay?
I think it's a marketing tactic like any other
like
industry.
the sign here, Miss Susie.
It's a marketing tactic because at the end of the day, if the insurance company doesn't pay, I've heard plenty of restoration companies that will come up to the client, sue the client, knock on their door,
Liens,
so
lots of liens. There was a company that I heard some horror stories. I mean, just ridiculous invoices. They weren't doing AOBs. They were doing like direct payment authorizations for the sole purpose of getting the notice of commencement and then filing for the lien and all of that. I mean, just like literally.
Does it start with an R?
Yes, it does actually. So, yes, it does. Okay, so you've heard the same story then, right?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, yeah. So that's it's just like crazy, and I think that that's between the restoration business and that Apple's in the public adjusting game. Like that's why a lot of people that are informed because they've heard a few stories are ill-informed, right? Because they've gotten all of these bad experiences from both restoration companies and roofing contractors in some cases, and
or even public
PAs.
adjusters, right?
Yeah, and public adjusters too.
This is what we're trying to do. We're trying
Right.
to educate.
It's a hard process.
It is.
Because it sucks, right? Like when you're like your heart's in the right place and you're trying to talk to them and you're saying, hey, like this is, I'm like telling you like everything you need to know, and they're like, oh well, no.
But they'll learn either they'll listen to us or they'll learn the hard way.
Yeah,
and then they'll call us anyway.
We've gotten phone calls. I mean, luckily enough. I mean, they're few and far between, but when they do happen, we're like, Rico, everything that you said was going to happen happened. I should have done it this way. And again, that's a tough, that's like kudos to the people that have made that call. I mean, like I think I've only got like 2 of those. So because not everybody wants to admit that, right?
Yeah.
But it's the truth. It's like, listen, like as a pro, that's what we're here to do, is to try to give as much information, to be of service to the client, to be of service to the industry. Like what kind of value can we add? And we're telling you how it's supposed to be to make your life a lot easier.
Yeah.
But some people are just pitching and just telling a story just to get that commission, and a lot of like high estimates too. Like I've seen a lot of PAs, they're like totally new. Their idea of adjusting is putting together a really big estimate.
Yeah.
We're like, how is this even justifiable?
But that's the industry has created that because instead of focusing on what the damages are actually worth,
Right.
it's like the insurance company side is I'm gonna try to pay you as little as I can. So naturally the PA side has to say, well, I'm gonna bill as much as I can, so that we can have room to negotiate.
Right. So we can actually get to where we can
it's
actually
become
do the
a
repairs.
numbers game instead of like a scope or actually looking to damages. It's just numbers. Like I want to pay this much. I want to get this much.
Right. So back to that, right, where you asked me originally, like, does that happen a lot in the restoration side? I would argue yes, but for that specific reason.
Yeah.
Because you're really not even discussing scope anymore.
Right. It's just your numbers.
Like, why should I, as a contractor, like, really think about how ludicrous this is. Like, this job is $9,000. Why do I have to know? Like, why is it that I can't invoice you for $9,000 because I know 100? If there's anything guaranteed in the world, I'm not gonna get that invoiced out. I'm just not gonna get it.
Correct.
They're gonna find something. They're gonna go ahead and take me from 9 to 7, 6. So.
And for you, it's after you already did the work.
Right. Well, and the way that we've leveraged some of this stuff too is depending on the water mitt side. I mean, look, you kind of have to bite the bullet. You have to be in there. You need to put in your fans, your dehues, and you kind of start doing whatever it is that you got to do. On the mold side, like until we get like a confirmation of hey, this is what's going on.
Correct.
Unless we really, really have to because of the living situation and they've got like a baby or it's an elderly person, we just sort of really, really feel bad and we're like, okay, this is not healthy for them, then we'll bite that bullet. But if it's like something that's manageable, we don't touch it until we get that confirmation.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Something similar to the whole no out-of-pocket thing is how clients have to, from the money that it should be allocated to the damages, they have to pay us, right? So our fee, in essence, is being taken away from the money that they have for the repairs. And that's not fair. The insurance company, in essence, we should not exist. If the insurance company would do what they are paid to do.
I'm so happy that you brought that up.
Yeah.
Because that was a behind closed doors conversation.
Yesterday.
Yeah, was it yesterday or the day before? About how flawed, if we're being honest about the industry, like how flawed the industry is, period. Because, like you said, the argument should be, right? Hey, it's $100,000 to get this house back to what it was. It's $100,000. Now, you've put in months of work.
Yeah.
Went out there several times. Like you built the estimate. You did. So clearly, you got to get paid.
Yeah.
Right. But the fact that that's even a process, when all of it could be avoided if the insurance company was doing the right thing.
Agreed.
Right.
I mean, like that's the way that it should be. But look, it's not, and that's why, thank God, you guys are in business, right? And you're advocating for clients, and you're doing what you got to do. And even you guys can only take it so far, because then half the time you do everything the way that you're supposed to do it, and then it still goes to litigation.
Yeah.
Which is insane, because it's costing the insurance company how much more?
The insurance companies, they don't want to do what they have to do, but they also don't want PAs to exist. So you can't have your cake and eat it too.
But then what happens is policy premiums go up. Well, why? Oh, because of the hurricanes, because of this, because of that. No, it's also going up because you guys are paying millions and millions and millions of dollars in attorney fees because you just didn't take care of little Miss Susie down the street. All she had was a $10,000. Just pay the lady $10,000, move on.
Yeah.
But no, you take that $10,000. What did I get hyped? $10,000, right? And you ended up costing what, $80,000, $50,000,
And
$100,000?
Susie probably ended up with like 30,000 anyway.
Yeah, right.
After they have to pay their attorney, her attorney, and
Right, exactly. So it's
they could have just paid her the 30 up front and saved themselves.
and just been, and everybody would have been happy, you know. But that's not the world that we live in. And I guess to some degree, you know, especially from you guys' perspective, I mean, thank God that that's the case, right? Because if not, you know, there wouldn't be a business. A lot of attorneys would be out of business too.
Correct.
You know,
Which is why I think, in a way, I mean, I may be wrong, it's just an opinion, but these policies are written by attorneys. So
Right.
they know in some way that the claims are going to end up again in their hands.
right.
So
Full circle.
I guess in some way it's like,
Yeah.
it's meant to be the way that it is.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, what we've been trying to do is the exact same thing that you're trying to do. I mean, our YouTube channel, EcoTek Pro.
Let's put the little.
Yeah, like
Right here.
yeah, on our YouTube channel and on our Facebook, like that's kind of like what I started to do, was just creating a lot of content just specifically for the consumer, right? In an attempt to try to educate people about, like, you know, what is mold, what is this, what is that, and just our opinions. Like, I've made videos about the whole no out-of-pocket expense thing from a restoration side, because basically, again, on the restoration side, right? Because when you're doing the rebuild and everything else, there's a deductible that so I like voice all of this stuff, like the stigma, like everything that nobody wants to talk about. That's typically what I'm talking about, and you know, some people like it, some people don't. It is what it is, you know.
Even though if the ones that don't like it, they must be listening to it because then they know they don't like it.
You know what?
So
I gotta be honest with you. Look, I love it when people don't like things, like what's said or opinions, because those are topics that get people talking.
Right.
And you know, the beauty about the world that we live in is that we don't have to agree with each other. And that's the beauty about like where we're at. Like, you know, we could talk and we could disagree, and the reality is that it's all a matter of opinion. Right? Like I've got my opinions, you've got your opinions, and somewhere in all of this, like, you know, buffet of opinions, like there's truth in all of it.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's all from perspective. So everybody's just got to do their part. So like what we've tried to do is try to educate the consumer. And just answer like really, really basic questions, and you know, it helps. You know, even when we like, you know, sometimes are just doing like estimates and stuff like that. It's like the same question over and over and over again. Like, hey, you know, and you just show them like the video. Like, hey, you know, I just addressed that recently.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool too.
I'm gonna look you guys up. I'm gonna watch a few of the podcasts you guys have.
So we're definitely are doing a lot more. I mean, we've got like no subscribers right now. It's like so embarrassing because we were doing like a big push on Facebook for a very long time with a lot of lives.
You have like 30. So.
You have like what? No,
Yeah, like
you guys are much
30.
better. You guys are like 79, I think. As
Oh,
of
really?
Today. Yeah, I think it was as of today, 79.
Exactly.
We're only like
It's probably because I knew that you were coming.
Stop it. No. So, so right now what we're doing is really concentrating a lot more on YouTube. The problem is that there's not a lot of content on YouTube about mold remediation that's interesting. That's the dilemma.
That's a tough
Like it's the dilemma for me, because now I have to make a choice. I'm like, okay, well, do I produce content for the consumer or for the pro? It's a tough decision to make, because there's not necessarily a lot of consumers that are looking for the right questions to ask.
Yeah, you have to make it interesting. That's one of the toughest things that we're up against.
Right.
Is making what we do interesting enough that people want to see it.
Here's the thing. It's interesting. It's
Well,
it's
to
weird.
us.
Interesting to us,
To
right?
us, but to the consumer, it's like.
See, that's where it's wrong, and it's funny because I am telling you advice I don't take. So do as I say, not as I do. That's why she's in the cut, just like laughing. Because it's so interesting. Like for me to watch a PA do what a PA does is super, super interesting, because I'm not a PA and I don't understand it, and I'm like, ooh, that's awesome. Right, but it's interesting. For me, she critiques me all the time, because sometimes I move when I'm on a project. I'm like, I'm gunning. I'm trying to go. She's like, hey, you know, this is really interesting. I'm like, oh, it's a wall with a little bit of mold on it. It's fine. Yeah. She's like, that's really, really cool. There's like mushrooms growing out of this thing. Like, you're not gonna take a picture? I'm like, no, that's fine. So like even me, like I get caught up in, you know, because I see it, and that's actually a really bad thing in the industry. So trying to like take those goggles off and be like, okay, how does if I had a fresh set of eyes, how would this really look, right?
Vince does a great job at just being interesting to look at.
Vince does a fantastic.
It's his energy too. He's got
the thing. He's got the thing. So and he keeps it interesting.
Shout
he
out
keeps it
to
engaged.
Vince. Vince Perry.
Yeah, commercial claims advocate. Yeah, that's right. See, and that's what the industry should really be, is, not competition. It should be about collaboration. Just
We've
everybody.
talked about this too, about like trying to, just with COVID and everything, it's more difficult, but of like bringing other PAs together, like we're not taking anything away from each other, we're just learning from each other.
Yeah.
There's nothing to take away.
There's business for everyone.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's business for everybody. How many times haven't I been in a sales situation, right? And I'm not concerned one bit, because you speak Spanish, right?
Yeah.
Lo que está para ti, nadie te lo olvida.
Nadie.
Right, nadie te lo olvida. What does that mean? It means if it's for you, it's for you.
Lo que
Because I can
será,
be exactly. You can be in a room with 4 salespeople, 1 buyer. That buyer is going to make the decision. She's like, because sometimes the attitudes collide. Sometimes you jive. You're like, oh my God, you remind me of my nephew. You're the guy. Like the hard part. Like, okay, yeah. Like, it is what it is. So it's like nobody's gonna steal anybody's business, right? Unless you're really good at Google Ads. In which case.
But it's not even about like competing for leads. I mean, like, imagine having like a network of PAs. Like, you could pick up the phone now and I can call you and say, hey, like, I just got a claim for Amica. I've never dealt with this company. What's your experience? Have you had one of those? You know what I mean? Just kind of that relationship
Right.
where we can all like count on each other.
Orlando
What about Orlando?
on the 26th.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know if you might want to edit this out later. I don't know. I want to give like shameless plugs. Actually, it's not even my plug; it's Vince's plug. Vince is doing another
I've seen
meetup
those,
in Orlando as well. So, which has been pretty cool, because I've kind of like gotten in like fairly early, and I've gotten to see like how many people were there. It was such a cool event. Like, it's cool, like attorneys and PAs, and everybody's like on the same boat. Like, nobody's on their high horse. Like, everybody's like, hey, I got this situation. What about this? Oh yeah, this is my experience. And then that's it. And then you can kind of take all that information and be like, you pick and choose what works for you, right? So I'm really excited to see like more of those events take place, and hopefully more restoration companies jump into the mix, and that they start getting involved a little bit more, because I think the restoration side really isn't participating enough with PAs.
yeah, and together our voice is much louder, right?
Right.
We can reach a lot more people when we're collaborating.
Right.
And we're all kind of sending the same message out. So
Right.
I agree with you 100%.
And I think that restoration companies, the closer that we are with PAs, the better it makes us better restorers. Because we understand what the future holds, or what consequences or actions have if we do this instead of that, and how that can affect the policy, right? And is this person going to be covered, or are they not going to be covered? So, and I'm sure you've seen this. There's a lot of Neanderthals in the industry. They'll come in and it's like, everything's got to go, like, yeah. And then you're there and you're like, whoa, what happened? Like, how am I going to get this done? Right? And there's a time and a place for that, right? There is a time and a place for asking for forgiveness and not for permission, right? And you have to pick your poison when it comes down to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yes. I feel like you were looking at him like, yo, cut it out.
No, Rico, let's finish up with the rapid fire that we like to do, which is
There's a rapid
There's
fire?
a
Yeah,
rapid fire.
No
A
way.
little
Fire questions.
curveball.
Oh my God.
These are personal.
Okay.
Just so that the viewers can get to know you a little bit.
Okay.
And I think he answered one of these during the podcast.
Yeah?
We'll ask it again.
Yeah.
All right, so you ready?
I think so.
You sure?
No.
Shall we?
That's it. All right, let's go.
And by the way, when we were putting these together, there were some weird ones in there.
Yeah, that we chose not to.
No. You can't do that to me. Now you gotta put the weird ones in.
I may add one.
Hey, come on, let's go.
Right.
If we're gonna do this, let's do this.
What do you do for fun? What did you do for fun pre-COVID, and what do you do for fun now?
Oh, fun. Do I have fun anymore? I'm a big learner. That's my fun.
Really?
Yeah, anything that I can get my hands on. To give you an idea, my newest thing is geeking out on Google Sheets.
Okay.
Just like random stuff? Or?
Excel, anything that piques my interest. I need to know a little bit of something about everything. Like, I don't need to be an expert at all of it, because I'll never be that. But I need to. That's what entertains me. I read a lot. Sometimes sometimes I'm reading 3 books at a time.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
stupid. Yeah, it's
I never finished a book. I think I finished probably like 2
Well,
books.
most people read wrong.
Please tell me, how should I read?
I thought this was a rapid fire. You see, this is how last time we worked 2 hours and 45 minutes, right? Then I'm just like reeling you guys in. I'm like, yes, ask me more. Most people read wrong because it's like this American way of having to complete everything and going from beginning to end. Like read the book cover to cover.
Yeah,
like that's not why you picked up a book. If you picked up a book on happiness, what's your goal with that book on happiness? It's to find a way to be happy.
Exactly.
You don't need all the narrative, right? So in today's world, what we do is we have this marvelous device called a smartphone, and it's got YouTube, which is amazing, right? And it's got TED Talks, right? So what you do is, if anything that you should do with intent, right? So if you're picking up a book on happiness, or you're picking up a book on, how to be in ketosis, or how to do whatever, you should be like, okay, what am I trying to draw out of this book? How do I want to hack my brain? Okay, so I want to talk about ketosis, and let's say DeLauer, what's his name? DeLauer?
Thomas DeLauer.
Yeah, Thomas DeLauer. Right. Yeah, he's like one of the big keto guys, right? Let's just pretend for a second that he had a book. I don't know if he does or not. And you want to learn about ketosis. Great. If he did, Google him. Did he do a TED Talk? Yes, he did a TED Talk. Fantastic. Take 5 minutes. Look at the TED Talk. You're going to be able to extrapolate within a 5-minute conversation 90% of what he says. Great. So now you have a basis of what this book is all about, right? Now, what you do is you read the front cover of the book, assuming this is a paper, or back cover of the book. What is the book about? You read the intro, right? You read the table of contents, highlight whatever it is that you want in your table of contents. Okay, is this interesting? Does this apply to me? Yes or no? Then you just literally start going through the book, bam, 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 and just skip all. It's amazing how fast your brain is. You don't give your brain enough credit. Especially if you use like sub-vocalization, it's a bad habit.
I don't even know what that is.
Sub-vocalization, so like about me, background and height, like that is sub-vocalization. Like if you could hear yourself talk while you're reading wrong. Not that you're reading wrong.
It's gonna take you forever.
It's gonna take you.
Yeah. You're never gonna finish it.
Yeah, however long it takes you to speak it, right? Where really your brain doesn't need to do that. So a cool little hack, and I think, oh my god, I forgot the guy's name now. Some guy.
Cool guy.
Anyways, yeah, cool guy. But he's got a hack where basically as you're reading, just do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 as you're reading.
I gotta try that.
Like in your mind. So that way what you're trying to do is you're trying to mute your brain and then what you do is always use a tracer, right? Like actually use a tracer because your eyes will deceive you. They'll go all over the place, right? Because your eyes don't really move fluid. They go from, a block to another block to another block to another block, right? Like just have someone read. You can see their eyes jump, right?
Yeah.
So if you use a tracer, you can really just pedal to the metal as far as how you can read. But then you just read whatever subjects are interesting to you, and then you just put it away. As soon as you got what you wanted, like you don't want to know every single coffee table talk that the author is going to talk about.
My biggest thing is retaining what I read. That's what I find the most difficult.
Because you're reading the whole thing. Yeah, because you're trying to read the whole thing.
Yeah.
When she just ordered a book. I'm putting it, Shelly, by the way. She just ordered a book about ADHD, and she was, I think, at her mother's house. It came on Amazon. I opened it up, and I just did the exact same thing. We're like, within 10, 15, 20 minutes, like I called her, I was like, hey, this whole book is about this. Bah, 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 bah. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah, this is what you need. You need magnesium, you need zinc, you need this, you need B6, you need omega-3s, you need this, done. The whole book, that's it.
Yeah.
I
think there's a skill to that, and you've discovered it.
Yeah, okay, so that's what I do for fun. So that was so much rapid fire.
What's your favorite destination?
Favorite destination? The bank?
The bank? You make a lot of trips to the bank?
Yeah. No, it's like all mobile deposits now. Favorite destination?
Oh wait, you don't have the scanner?
The scanner? What are you talking about, bro?
I'll show you later.
Oh yeah. Favorite destination? I don't know if I really have one.
Do you guys travel a lot?
Favorite place I've been is California.
Okay.
Favorite place. It's the only place that I felt connected to, like the geographical location. It was kind of hard to not be happy in California.
It's so different from what we have.
Totally different. Here, you ride a bike, you're a bum. Over there, you're an athlete.
Yeah. Well, unless you go to the trails.
Where?
In Virginia Key and
Here.
Markham.
Oh yeah.
Like the mountain biking.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No.
It's fun.
Yeah. But at least in California, everybody's walking, everybody's around. You can be outside, enjoy good California weather. You've got hiking. You could literally go snowboarding, hiking, and the beach all in the same day if you really wanted to. You know.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, we don't have that here. But yeah.
All right. What was your first job?
First job, paid job.
Any job.
If it was a job.
First job must have been working with my father. My father was a baker, came from Cuba in 1980, doing it in Madrid. That was back in that time. And he was a baker, right? And he owned, we owned bakeries in our family, cafeterias and stuff like that. So my first real job was 7, 8 years old, getting woken up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 4:30 in the morning to go amasar pan. So I would make bread. Yeah. Yeah, I can make bread with the best of them.
Really?
Bro, I'm an artist.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I can imagine. What are you afraid of?
What am I afraid of? Everything. Yeah, very fearful of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very analytical.
What are you most afraid of?
Most afraid of my inability to come to fruition.
Okay.
I think, wow, that was deep.
Yeah.
That was good. Wow. Yeah. The ability to, or lack thereof, to fulfill whatever internal promise I felt that I was given. That is my biggest fear.
Okay.
Do you know what that is? You don't have to tell us, but do you know what it is? What that purpose is?
Yeah, I think I do.
Okay.
I think I do. Yeah, I think I do. I mean, it sounds very new agey, right? I'll tell you. Because I feel like I'm an Oprah now. I'm opening up. The only thing that I have, there's actually 2 things in life that I wanted to be. One was an attorney. I wanted, I've been telling you, I was like 6 years old and I would dress. I had my Sunday best. My mother hated this stuff. And I had one suit. 6 years old, Cuban immigrants. So it was 67. I mean, it was 87 at the time, right? Anyways, so I had one suit and I wanted to be an attorney. I wanted to be a litigator. My father had sued someone back in the day, and I would play with his legal documents. Cool. Anyways, that was my first wish. But at the core was always about communication, just being able to speak and to help people. That to me has always been like the main thing. Being able to find that platform, right? And it's so gratifying even on a one-on-one basis just to be able to individually help people. And it sounds very new agey, and to be honest with you, for a very long time I kind of battled that. And I was because it sounded so fluffy, it sounded so superficial and so BS. Right? And she criticizes me all the time. Yes, you criticize me. I'm kidding. But she pokes fun because she's I always put on this hard demeanor and I'm very aggressive and I'm really alpha and I'm She goes, but really at your core you're a super softie. It's kind of true because because I'm what if those guys don't want to help anybody? But then I'm but now I understand why you want to help people because it's the one currency that just makes you feel whole.
Yeah.
All the money in the world could disappear. And I have text messages that I save from one of my friends or someone asks me for something and 6 months later bro hey thank you for this that really changed my life. I'm I save that that means something.
Yeah. We share that same.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I think if you read anything by or listen to anything by Jim Rohn or Napoleon Hill or Dale Carnegie or any of these great individuals that have left behind this blueprint, everybody has this common denominator. I didn't understand that. And even though I've been reading this stuff since, as far back as I can remember, it never really clicked until I realized I was oh, I get it now.
Yeah.
The whole reason why helping people is so important. And look, you're not always going to get it right. You can't help everybody. Even when you want to, sometimes you just can't, or, life gets in the way and things happen, whatever.
But the person doesn't want to be helped.
Or the person doesn't want to be helped, or circumstances just happen, right?
Yeah.
But trying is the best currency, and the more people that you can help do that within your capacity, the better off that you'll be, not only spiritually, but just, emotionally, and then that puts you in a state to where now stuff just kind of happens.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Stuff just kind of happens, and it's just so weird, and it sounds and I hate the fact that it sounds that way. Because it sounds so California, hippie type stuff.
It doesn't matter how it sounds.
There's so much truth to that, right? So yeah, that's it. That's the biggest fear.
Quality or quantity of
Ooh.
life?
Of life. Quantity. So you have to explain that a little bit more.
So would you rather have here? I'll let her
Do you
explain
prefer better quality of life right? Like in years, let's say a shorter, better life, or or quantity,
longer.
or
A longer life?
Yeah.
Oh,
So if you
man.
have to choose between quantity or quality of life.
I want both. I'm not gonna choose. I'm not gonna do that.
You're
No.
just gonna put it out there, right?
Yeah,
The universe.
no,
I want both.
I mean,
I want quality and quantity.
If you really put me to my back up against the wall, I mean, I don't know if I necessarily want to be 90. Like I'm not of service to anyone. I think that was it the Eskimos that would like push their people off to sea. Like they would do that. Like I don't know if that's a fact or not. Can you Google that? Can you fact check me like we're on Joe Rogan
I
here?
know in old Swedish culture they
Right?
push
So,
people
like,
off
Some
the
sort of
ledge.
like
the elderly.
euthanasia, like
Yeah, like
humane euthanasia.
the elderly would just be like, hey,
Yeah.
here are my children, here are my grandchildren, and now it's time. So I don't think that I would want to go ahead and be that. So I would probably give me good quality,
Right here.
but let me have a short run, but a good run.
The Inuit people.
What was
Suicide, killing
Inuit.
senior people was rare.
I'm so dark sometimes.
Oh, wow.
In earlier times, they would leave their elderly on the ice to die.
Well, the last known case was
It's
in 1939.
See, so I mean,
It's probably not legal anymore.
the point is that I mean, if I'm really pressed, and depending on like what that number is, like 55, and I'm like okay, I want to see my boys. The reason why this gets complicated is once you have children, like it really changes, because then you're like, oh, you always want to know what's next, like what they're learning, who they're becoming. You've got all these dreams and aspirations.
So we have a list of like 250 questions, and we randomly pick questions from there, but we try to keep it, fun and kind of professional.
I try to keep it, don't keep it PG. Like, come
Yeah.
on, And besides, nothing will ever scare her off because like we've known each other for forever.
Oh my
She stalked me for a very long time.
Yeah.
That sounds really creepy.
It does sound really creepy. But we've. How old were you when we met? This sounds.
No,
this
this
sounds
sounds
horrible.
worse.
Right? It sounds worse when we would say it that
I
way.
was 10.
She was 10. God, that sounds bad. Okay.
Wait, how old are you?
Context. No. We need context in this conversation, right?
I mean, I'm sure the statute of limitation it's over, but how old were you?
No. So her brother is my best friend, one of my best friends, and he's my age. And yeah, so I was constantly I was over at the house. I got to the point to where I would like open up the refrigerator and just walk in the door. And I always just thought she was really nice, like just friendly, because she comes from a really good home, and I was like, Christ-fearing people and stuff. So they're really nice. And I was like, she was always happy. I was like, oh, she's such a happy kid. Yeah, that's not what it was. She was stalking. She was just like, one day I will be of age.
One day we'll be 18.
One day. No, I think it was, we finally got together when you were what? How old?
23?
23.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Long after you
Yeah.
became of age.
Yes.
And how old are you, Rico, if you don't mind me asking?
39, I'm maybe 40. Yeah.
You don't look it, man.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. I got grandkids. 2.
Really?
What?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
How about that for
I
a
should have
question?
asked you about that.
How about that for a
yeah.
question?
Grandkids.
2
So it's Grandpa Rico.
Grandpa Rico. My grandson, Kingston,
Mhm.
is, by the way, I am horrendous with names and horrendous with dates. Horrible. She is my,
Walking
Rolodex of
Google.
information. Yeah. Kingston is how much younger than my son?
3 months.
Our son? 3 months.
That is crazy. You just blew my mind with that.
Yeah, it's insane.
Holy crap.
The daughter's going to turn
20.
23 or 24 this year? 23. 23 this year.
Okay, so your son and your grandson
Are the
Yeah.
same?
are the same age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your
Yeah.
granddaughter.
And my granddaughter. Wow, that's so crazy. It's so nutty saying it, bro.
How old is it a son or a daughter that had the kids?
Daughter. My daughter's 23. She's gonna turn 23 in a couple days. Right? Is it 23?
Tuesday.
On Tuesday.
Well, that's how you end with a bang.
Yeah, it certainly is.
That's
We should
crazy.
make this like the catchy part of one of our posts.
Yeah.
So people are like, wait, what?
What?
The youngest grandfather you've ever seen.
At least you definitely got to live to see your grandkids, and you'll probably see your great grandkids, and maybe
Real.
even those.
Yeah.
Tatarabuelo, no?
Tatarabuelo, yeah. Abuelo.
Abuelo, bisabuelo, tatarabuelo.
Tatarabuelo.
Uh-huh.
You're gonna get to be a tatarabuelo for sure.
Right.
I don't even know if I'm gonna see my grandkids.
Doesn't that sound great? Tatarabuelo.
Tatarabuelo. Do you speak Spanish? Yeah.
Rico, it's been a pleasure, man. I really appreciate it for coming and for driving all the way down here.
No worries.
It was a treat having you, and it was very fun. So I appreciate
Thank you.
it.
I had a blast, and hopefully we can do it again sometime soon.
Let's
Thank
do it,
you.
man.
Yeah,
Next time
it
we'll
was
plan
fun.
with more time so we can, open up into other
Yeah.
other realms of information.
Of discussion. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we touched on a little bit of everything today. So
Good.
That was
I
fun.
had tons of fun, guys. Thank you so much. I
thank
appreciate
you
it.
for
you.
coming.
And to all the viewers, please, as I said at the beginning, remember to subscribe, like, and comment. I really look forward to your comments. All right, guys. See you on the next one.